dear. Good start. We're off to a positive start.
I wonder if people can hear us now. Joseph, thank you very much for your quick tell us that it's all gone wrong. But yes, Ryan, let's quickly recap what you just mentioned. In when no one could hear us, I could definitely see. Well, I hope things are working now, and I'm sure someone will let us know as quickly as possible. But yeah, China, incredible Grand Prix with some interesting facts to come out of it.
Yeah, we'll try and all good. So it's all good. Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, obviously Smokey getting disqualified in qualifying, huge for the championship. Being the championship leader, starting from last is never an easy thing to do, and he managed to come back from last, and yeah, some big points in eighth place, and we saw a really good. We saw Choco's first ever win in WR as well, which was a really good thing for him. He got so close at Abu Dhabi after that spin on the final few laps. So, yeah, it was a very interesting race, and there was a lot of drama involved. So maybe we can see some more of that here at Silverstone.
Right, let's have a look at, and this is the wrong standings, though. I will just quickly change them. This has not gone well for me tonight at all. So take two. And it's obviously Smokey leading the way still, but it's not as dominant as it was before. It is round 13 as well, just no one actually heard that originally, did they? So I didn't need to say that. But Smokey obviously leading the way by quite a margin from Wilson now. Wilson having a little bit of an issue out last time, and Siler still within an outside opportunity. So the three title contenders have all got a possibility. But with Wilson with Smokey racing tonight, I'm sure he's not going to get a disqualification 2 weeks running. He's got a great chance. There needs to be, for the other guys, there needs to be a DNF for him, and I'm sure Smokey is not going to go down that route tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And Smokey will just be looking to just get it over the line now, really, and just keep it calm and steady. Won't take any unnecessary risks, and he'll just be looking to score good points once again, while I feel like Wilson and Cypher will really try and push him towards the end. But realistically, their focus now will probably be on challenges more than anything, so they'll probably be testing some things here tonight, because obviously Silverstone is coming up on the challenges calendar, I do believe. So yeah, it is quite interesting to see how Smokey will approach this race. He's really got he's got everything to lose in a way, whereas everybody else around him has nothing to lose. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Smokey's going to be able to handle this pressure.
Definitely, there's an incredible amount of pressure on Smokey, and he was given an opportunity last season as well to really battle Elite or Otis Lawrence, and I mean Otis Lawrence just took it to the next level, so no one could really get there. But speaking of challenges, though, Bourbon Boy's just about to start his lap. He's an Xbox challenger as well. Let's see what he can do on his first lap of Silverstone in anger, as FRA Josham there and PSR Nick goes fastest by 0.2 of a second as well. Stonks throws himself directly in the middle of those two, as Sider just then goes, times are coming in now, thick and fast in this qualifying session. And yeah, but Bourbon Boy, it's good to see him here, isn't it? It's good to see drivers from the challengers in this series.
Yeah, it is, and Bourbon Boy had a really good race as well at China last weekend, beating PSR Wilson, who won the first round of challenges. So this grid is really competitive still, and anybody can cause an upset or do a better performance than people really do expect. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see how it really all unfolds. I'm on board with Smokey at the minute after he's just come out through Maggots and Beckett's, and he's had a purple middle sector as well. So the championship leader is really flying on this lap at this moment in time, and I wonder what he'll be able to do here, because he will want to be as close up to the top of the grid as possible, as Wilson went into second place. Only 2 thousandths separated him and PSR Nick. So that just shows you how close this grid really is. After China last week, remember, there was 1,000 separating a few cars, and Smokey goes up into P4. But just remember that qualifying from last week, it's just hit me there. And how close it was. It was like 4,000 separating, from first to fourth. It was incredible.
Yeah, that was we did wonder, as Sav goes quickest of all. PSR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that? Wow, that is incredible from a PSR team. You do wonder how they've got so much talent on their roster, and they still all end up being happy with it all. But Sav fastest of all, and yeah, going back to that qualifying from last week, it was great to see. We thought that could be the highlight of the whole the whole weekend. But thankfully, they produced a good race as well.
Yeah, exactly. And PSR somehow just are able to really recruit everybody in Xbox. They sort of did what WR did of old, when they were flying high on Xbox. It's just a group of friends really, and I think that's what it is. If you have that friendly feeling to your team, you'll really just thrive. And that's what PSR have managed to do, and kept that good community within them. So yeah, it's not surprising how they're able to maintain so much talent because they enter so many competitions as well. So everybody really gets a drive. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see. PSR Kai was on a lap, but I think has just backed off, and he'll be heading back into the pits. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see this grid as well. Got a few different names on there as well. Choco struggling early doors as well. We've got Shazoo Tom as well. He hasn't done much practice for this one. He was telling us in the Discord earlier, watching a whole TikTok film instead of practicing. So it'll be interesting to see what Tom can do after he's had one of the worst seasons I think in WR history.
Yeah, to see someone as much quality as in a driver as Shazoo Tom to have such a poor season is quite a shame, really. Through Beckett's there, he clipped a corner. He was up on his he was up on a decent time, and I think he was going to set something not the world alight, but he was going to set something decent. But I think he's going to go straight into the pits this time. And yeah, you're right. I do have a Carl Joseph. I'm struggling a little bit, but I will plough on through for this WR community. Let's see. I wonder if Shazoo Tom's going to go again, whether he will set the light up. It's a 26. He did set himself a decent lap time there. That was a 26.7, I think. So enough to get himself into that top end battle.
Yeah, and it looked a bit all over the place there from Tom. So, maybe if he tidies it up in some areas, he could really challenge for pole here. And that'd be an interesting thing. But as well as that, getting a bit of traffic as well is never a nice thing. But drivers getting out the way. The Haas, I think, of Jockum as well. He was just getting out the way there. But yeah, it's interesting to see if he's going to have the ERS. But no, he's going to back off now, obviously in 8th gear. He's going to back off and head back to the pits. Doesn't have enough ERS to go for back-to-back laps. For everybody really just on outlaps now. I think you can only really get 3 runs in if you don't make if you complete 3 full laps, that is. So yeah, it's every lap counts, and you can't really afford any mistake around Silverstone because you will get punished because you've really got to carry so much speed through a lot of these corners to gain as much time as possible.
Yeah, and with this track, it's if nothing ventured, nothing gained. You've got to try every possibility to get yourself as much time as possible. Let's see what FRA Giron can do, the Ferrari driver filling in this week as he comes down. The start-finish straight to start his lap time. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to get pole as well, because at the moment, Sav is there. But Ryan, it's not a sure thing, is it? Sav has obviously got great pace, but you've got Nick and Wilson who are very close there as well.
Yeah, Sav really does like to pull out a very good qualifying, but unfortunately for him, the race just never seems to go his way. He always seems to just, crumble in the race for whatever reason. But he can really deliver that really good lap in qualifying when it's needed. So Sav can really just, build on the momentum from qualifying and try and, settle down in the race a little bit more and getting that rhythm early on. I think that's probably what other drivers around him are a little bit better than him at doing, is just getting to that rhythm for the race. If he can just find that flow a bit quicker, he can really be a bit more comfortable and, won't feel the pressure of other drivers around him. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Sav can really do in the race, because if you can just bring that qualifying pace into the race, he'll be flying and he would definitely be up there challenging for the title. But obviously a few rounds haven't really gone his way, and obviously a few mistakes here and there. But Jerome is on a good lap here, the Ferrari. He'll be looking to... Oh, and it's a big mistake there, and he's gone right round, and that's a big, big shame into turn 15, and he's just got caught on the curb there, and he's gone right round, and that's going to be his lap over, unfortunately.
I wonder if that's put any pressure on Bourbon Boy as well. Actually, no, Bourbon Boy's just about to start his lap time, so he completely ignored me on that one. Let's see who... No, Jerome's going into the pits. Let's see what Smokey can do, because he is on a lap. Championship leader. Through Luffield and Woodcote he goes, going on down to Copse now. And this is big opportunity for Smokey. He needs. I don't want to say he needs to get pole, but if he gets pole here, that would take a little bit of pressure off in the race.
Yeah, 100%. And Stefano goes quickest. He had a good race last week at China, put a bit of pressure on Wilson and really put up a good fight. I think he got points in the end. And Cypher goes even quickest, 2 tenths clear of Stefano. So that's a very, very good lap from the Aston Martin. And Smokey is going to look to challenge pole position here. Into Stowe he goes, and this would be a really crucial corner. Don't want to make the same mistake as the Ferrari of Jerome. And now coming into the final few corners. Turn 17 and now approaching 18. See what he can do. What can Smokey do? Coming up to the line, it's a 126.4, a whole tenth, just less than a tenth, sorry, behind Cypher.
Yeah, a good time nonetheless, as there's a Ferrari coming out of the pits at the same time. PSR Sav can only go P3. His early session pace is just a little bit off. I think we've got PSR Nick going down the hangar straight now. He's got Wilson behind him as well, both on laps, both very close on laps on their previous runs. But now PSR Nick was purple in Sector 2. Whether you believe that on this game or not is, whether anyone believes it or not is to be tested. But PSR Nick round the final corner, down the Hamilton straight now. It's only P3 for him. What can Wilson do as he crosses the line? It's P5 for him. He can't beat his teammate. That's a very, very different setting that we had 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. And Choco's just got a lot of traffic. Unfortunately, he invalidated his lap, so it wouldn't matter anyway. Just saw the Mercedes there spinning off PSR Kai on his lap. But yeah, really, really interesting to see Wilson struggling here in qualifying. Just less than a tenth, obviously, behind his teammate. It's a big gap for Wilson. But Nick made a little mistake into turn 16. Definitely cost him a little bit of time into that final sector. But yeah, Cypher looking really, really strong so far in this qualifying. It's a very good lap to do a 0.3 this early on as well. So final laps, I'm predicting a low 26 here, maybe a 26.2, or maybe even a 0.1 if somebody really just manages to hook up the lap.
And let's see what Shazoo Tom can do. It's coming through this into this second sector now. We can't really tell if it's going to be better than his last lap because he hasn't set a last lap time at all. But down through Stowe he goes. This is going to be... Oh, he's got to be perfect. It wasn't perfect last lap. Down in through these final few corners now. What can Shazoo Tom put on the board with 5 minutes of qualifying left to go? And it's across the line. It's P5. He's splitting the two PSR Red Bull drivers.
Yeah, it's a very, very good lap there from Tom, and he'll be very, very happy with that one to split those guys. And it's good track position because track position's so key around Silverstone. It's an absolute nightmare to make any inroads on anybody. So qualifying is absolutely essential around here. So P5 is a very good position for Tom. But unfortunately for him, he needs to be a little bit higher because he's surrounded by the whole of PSR essentially. So he wants to be he wants to be near the top. I think he really want to be aiming for P2 here, or obviously he wants to be aiming for pole, but being right down in the middle is going to be a nightmare to try and get through Sav, Nick and Smokey to challenge for this win here. But that's a very good qualifying there from Tom to put himself into the top 5.
Now, something that we've not mentioned at all is there's added pressure for Smokey and his qualifying, and just tonight in general. Because if he wins here tonight, he wins the title, doesn't he? That's it. That's done and dusted. He's 28 points clear at the moment. If he wins tonight, the championship is his. That's added pressure, isn't it?
100%. But whether he'll be thinking about that or not is another thing. If I'm Smokey, I definitely try not to put any more pressure on yourself, because that forces mistakes and that forces errors. And I think he'll be driving a lot more cautiously tonight, because knowing that you can easily wrap up the championship, or make it a lot easier for himself at the final round. He doesn't want to cause himself to get damaged lap 1 and be outside the points, because it'll be a long road back for him if he did do something like that. So I think we'll see a very smart and safe drive. Whether he'll try and go for the win will be another thing, but I think for him tonight it'll just be about claiming some points, whether that's on the podium or P4, P5. He'll take whatever, I think, because a win isn't necessary, because it'll be very, very, very difficult for anybody to beat him at the final round unless a miracle happens where he crashes lap 1 again. But again, I don't see that really happening. But yeah, Smokey I think will just play it really, really cautious here tonight.
Yeah, and the other thing I suppose is as long as he finishes ahead of his two championship rivals, he's won the title anyway. So, I mean, there's that. He's got to make sure Wilson and Sider don't. Well, those two can get themselves into incidents as well. But Sider at the moment doing everything he needs to do. Get pole, win the race. He's done everything he can. It's out of his hands.
Yeah, exactly, and he's really put himself in a good position to put, Smokey under as much pressure as possible, and that's all he can do. He can just do his part and hope for the best, and whether he might drive a different way around Smokey, maybe force him off the track, or just make it really, really difficult for him to pass him, or maybe force him into being backed up and put him under some pressure from Nick or Sav and make him just fall down the order as much as he can. I think we could see some maybe interesting tactics from Cypher as well as Wilson to really try and get a hold of this championship, but I doubt I'll see that from any of them. Maybe Cypher, since he's not got to worry about challenges. I think he'll probably try and put more effort into this as much as he can and make Smokey's life as hard as possible. But yeah, like you said, Cypher's doing everything he can to really put himself in a good position to keep his championship hopes alive.
And he's on a lap now. It should, well, unless it's an early invalidation on his qualifying, this will be his last attempt on an improvement. I mean, he is sat on that top step at the moment. We are wondering if it's going to go into the 26.2s or the 26.1s, if that is at all possible for these guys. Who knows? What about the 26 dead or even a 25.9? I mean, if they're showing that sort of pace, then yeah, maybe they shouldn't be on Xbox any longer. But he looks nice and smooth as he hunts himself through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Down the hanger straight he goes. It's looking relatively good for Sider right now. Down into Stowe. He's just got to keep it nice and tidy. No extra on the curb. It's looking good for Sider right now.
Yeah, it was really good middle sector, 10th up. Oh, it's a little bit of a mistake though into turn 16, just missing the apex. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Come through 18 now up to the line. It's going to be 26.2. That could have just easily been a 0.1 if he just was able to hook up that turn 16 a little bit better. That's a very, very good lap there from Cypher, and it's going to put him on provisional pole.
Yeah, that's a cracking lap from him. Let's see. I think Sav is going to be on the next of the big ones on a lap. Or yeah, it is Sav. And like last time, Stefano doing a good lap. Last week, Stefano putting in a good lap again. But I wonder if that's going to be enough to keep ahead of Tom, Wilson, even Choco. Choco is yet to set. That's a lot of pressure on Choco to set a good lap time towards the end. But here comes PSR Sav down into Vale now. He's got a little bit of pressure on him. He needs a better position than this. And I'm sure he will want to remind everyone why he is as good as he is, and obviously not being in that championship fight at the moment. It's P2 for him. It's a 26.2 again. It's a cracking lap time from him. Nix throws himself up into P3, not able to set a really good lap time there. I suppose it's time to go on to board with Smokey.
Yeah, Smokey's coming up to the line, and he goes up into P3 as well, so that's a great lap from him. Stonks, by the way, put himself up into P5, so that's a very good effort, and Kai put himself up into P7, so from first all the way down to 7th, it's PSR all the way, but I think Tom's going to spoil the party. He was up by a 10th, and he was really going to put it in a claim, and what a shame that is, and he is going to be furious, and he puts himself into the wall across the line. But that is a shame for Tom. He was improving and he was going to spoil that party. But my oh my, what a qualifying that is from the PSR lot. From 1st to 7th, it is PSR.
Wow, that's incredible. You know when you lose the ball over your neighbour's fence and you go knock on it and you be like, can we have a ball back, please? It's pretty much PSR. Everyone else is like, PSR, can we have a decent qualifying position, please? But they have decided no. Stefano, though, it's I don't want to say a fairy tale story for him, but it's great for him to be still battling away. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, exactly. It's PS just 8th and 9th, and then it's an Xbox driver again of X, and then Jerome in 11th. But yeah, it's interesting to see Stefano and Tom. They're always there battling it out with the PSR guys and everybody else on Xbox, and they're always challenging for the front. So I wonder, if they get a good start, will they be able to really challenge? The first sector is going to be crucial because a lot of moves can be made through there. But yeah, it's a very interesting qualifying, and what a performance that was from Cypher.
Yeah, so it's either on par with Sav in second place for the start of the first three rows of the grid, all PSR. Smokey in third, fourth to Nick. Stonks in fifth, sixth to Wilson, Kai in seventh. Rounding out PSR, the rest of the grid is Stefano, Tom, Axe, Jerome, Furious, Joshim, Typical, Finn, Bulba Boy, Choco. Last week's race winner, I'll remind you, is in 17th place for this one. 2D in 18th, 19th to Bobbits, and Shizou Rick rounding out the rest of the qualifying positions. Joseph's saying that this race might be very boring. I mean, it might be very boring if you're not a PSR fan, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I'd say so. If you're not a fan of PSR, then unfortunately this could be a very long day at the office for you. From 1st to 7th, it's just going to be unfortunately a massive train for PSR, and I think they'll just be really be working together once again. And I wonder, hopefully we'll see some battles, but I know they'll be in a party together and they'll be communicating, so I doubt we'll see anything really exciting from the front. Hopefully, Tom can really put Wilson and everybody else in front of him under pressure, as well as Stefano. Hopefully they can make this really exciting for us. So yeah, I think we'll be relying on the guys towards the end of the field to really cause some drama and stir this race up in a really interesting way.
How do you? I mean, obviously you're saying that they're in the party and what have you, and but how do you feel if there becomes a break? That this DRS, the snake, gets broken. Do you think that then they'll start battling away a little bit more?
Yeah, they probably will. With the train breaking away, they probably won't work together in that sense. But maybe when they won't probably fight each other as hard as they can, because they know the limits and they'll be talking to each other. I remember at Imola they was trying to get past Choco and let him go. So, I wonder if there'll be something like that. I know Cypher definitely will be helping out Smoke in this one, and I wonder if Nick and Sav will battle Smokey any harder than they would anyone else, because I think they won't want to get involved in this championship battle. But you never know with how these things might go. But I don't think Team Orders will get in the way.
Right, we're on the grid for this one. We're on 5 red lights here at Silverstone, and we're underway. It looks like a pretty good start from Sav alongside Scyther, and I think he's going to make the move stick into turn 1. He has done. PSR Wilson going past Smokey, but they're battling along, and Smokey's gone. Smokey spun around and spun by a PSR teammate, Stefano, and I think that is Jerome off the track. That is huge mental problems at the back in the midfield battle.
I can't believe it. I was on board with Smoke and I just seen Nick has touched his front wheel, and that's caused him to spin round, and this is huge for the championship now. This is what I said could not have happened for Smokey, and it's exactly happened. I told you to try and take it cautious, but never mind. He's now got a lot of work to do, and this is dreamland for Cypher and Wilson. This could go to the final race, and this could be huge, and there's big battles as well. As Axe has been spun round, there's 2 drivers into the wall as well. Jochum and Axe colliding there. Not too sure what happened, but it's all kicking off. Wilson now being overtaken by Tom.
And that was one hell of a move by Shizou Tom. Lewis Hamilton, that's how you overtake a Red Bull at that corner. But what a move by Shizou Tom. And now he's got a lot of pressure on to get up to PSR Nick ahead. PSR Sav took the lead off Scyther into turn 1 at the start of this race. We have had absolute bedlam at the start of this Grand Prix. Jerome, I think, has caused a little bit of it. His front wing is off, so he's going into the pits. Typical trying to battle away with Bourbon Boy, but Bourbon Boy's got the inside of all this. There is so much going on in this Grand Prix.
Well, yeah, Joseph, I think he's at his words already. It's not been a boring start to this race at all. It's all kicked off, and Smoke has done a very good job, by the way, to get back into this train. He's back into P15, and he can really hunt down everybody. This is going to be a crucial lap for Smokey. He's got to make the moves now before DRS is really enabled. Look at the train, and look how close this is. All the way from P10 is ridiculously close. So many cars can make overtakes here. Bobbers has had a flying start. Choco up into P8 already. So he is absolutely flying as the Alfa Romeo. After that poor qualifying, maybe his setup's just suited better for the race, but what a start that is for the Alfa Romeo.
Everyone on a set of hard compound tyre, apart from the 2 FVR drivers who are into the pits to throw onto a set of mediums. Wow, this has been an incredible first lap. The two Alpines then trying to keep ahead of the McLaren of Tudi. They're struggling a little bit. Chizou Typical's pulled away. Pulled away. It's very, very minimal pulling away. But they've got the championship leader directly behind them. That must give them a little bit of a surprise in there. But here comes Smokey on Chizou Rick up the inside down the Hamilton straight into Stowe, and it's a pretty easy move in the end for the championship leader up into 14th after a pretty torrid start.
Yeah, he's doing a very good comeback so far. Rusty, yeah, you definitely haven't missed out unfortunately on that opening lap. But yeah, it's very, very interesting for this championship now. And here goes Rusty, Smokey, sorry, once again. Is he going to go down the inside into turn one? That'd be a brave move. If he did, and there we go, Tootie's really pushing the limits, and he's got off, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Smokey going brave on the brakes, he goes down the inside. Is Tootie going to fight this one back? No, he thinks better off it, and Smokey leaves in that room just in case. Doesn't want to make the same mistake as he did on lap 1, and that's him up into P13 now, and he's got a bit of work to do. Now this DRS has been enabled because Bobberts does not make it easy for anybody to get past him.
Definitely not, and Chizou Tom is in trouble of losing the DRS ahead, and Wilson's going to get more and more increasingly frustrated because he's got to get himself into that top 3 really, has PSR Wilson. That's got to be his aim for this Grand Prix, especially with PSR Smokey as far down as he is right now. But as we saw on the challenges last week, strategy, undercuts, whatever you name it, can cause you a little bit of a headache.
Yeah, exactly, and it's really, really fascinating to see what strategies do get involved, and at this moment in time, it's looking interesting because look at the Alpines. They are doing a good job, but at the same time, this pace really isn't too good for Smokey. He needs to get through these guys as quick as he can, and the strategy now is going to be crucial for Smokey's race. If he wants to get anywhere near the front of this field, he's got a lot of work to do, and it's quite interesting to see what he'll be able to do. This Sector 1, in my opinion, is going to be his perfect opportunity to make any overtakes. As you just saw, Bobbert's going off a little bit wide there, and surely a little bit of a dive, maybe. No, thinks better off it into turn 3 there. I thought it could have been a really good opportunistic move. Turn 5 also is where a lot of drivers tend to line up a move, but unfortunately this time around, Smokey was not close enough, but Bobbert's doing it just about enough to stick in front at this moment in time.
PSR Nick getting very close to the back end of Scyther for in the battle of for the lead of this Grand Prix. Tom again outside of that DRS timing zone, but I'm sure he's going to be able to push it back in like he did the lap before. But we are staying on board with the championship leader as he's trying to find a way through ESV Bobberts and NRX Finn. Both of these drivers are seasoned in the top tier. They're not going to make it easy for PSR Smokey.
No, definitely not. They'll make that car as wide as they possibly can, but you can just tell where Bobberts really does struggle compared to Smokey. Definitely through Maggots and Beckett's. You just saw the line he took there going a little bit deep, and that's going to compromise his exit. And there's been a good launch there from Smokey, and he's going to fight this, but Bobberts decides to not use any of the DRS and just let Smokey go. Smart decision there, in my opinion, there from Bobberts, because just seeming to struggle there on this lap and losing a bit of ground to Finn. So smart decision there, but now Smokey up into P12. He's on that comeback, and he's doing a very good job off it at this moment in time. And Tom has got the first penalty off this race. Both of the Wilson and Tom, both struggling with DRS, have no deployment left.
Yeah, and Wilson getting that fastest lap. He knew, well, he needed to make that move stick on Tom and get himself back into the guys ahead. But he is agonisingly close to being outside of any sort of attack range. But Bourbon Boy and Typical losing, there's a couple more breaks in the chain here, which could cause Smokey more headache, because it means while it will be easier to overtake, he's got to use a little bit more battery to get back into the DRS of the guys ahead once he overtakes, of course.
Yeah, definitely, and having to use the battery is an absolute nightmare, because around Silverstone it doesn't seem that you get too much back. But Finn is definitely going to lose the DRS to Typical, and that's going to cause Smokey even more problems, because if Typical loses it to Bourbon Boy as well, that's a big task for him to claim it all back as well. So having to gain the DRS back on 2 drivers is not easy, and it's so crucial that you stick within the DRS around Silverstone. because it is so hard to get it back. So yeah, Wilson's done a good job, by the way, to close down that gap again to Nick. 7 attempts, and he's back into this DRS train. But Wilson definitely doesn't seem like his usual self around Silverstone. Definitely doesn't seem like a track he's too comfortable with. Definitely seems to be struggling a little bit with the pace around here.
Yeah, it's surprising, really. It's so used to Wilson being a bit more, I don't want to say aggressive because that's not the right word to describe Wilson, a bit more affirmative in his positionals and one definitely to watch for overtakes, but he's struggling a little bit at the moment. So is Shizu Tom, and I wonder if he's picked up any sort of damage from that early melee on lap 1, and I think he's maybe just nursing that car a little bit because Stefano is really, really hounding him through this part of the circuit, and you know, he's doing a fantastic job, is Stefano, in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, maybe he might have some side pod damage, which could probably explain why he might be struggling on the straights a little bit more compared to everybody else around him. So, yeah, this is really quite interesting. And Evan, in a very funny quote there, PSR domination is boring fans. The Lewis Hamilton quote, obviously, when Red Bull was starting to dominate. But yeah, it's a PSR 1, 2, 3, and 4 at this moment in time, and nothing really anybody else can do about it. Just seem to lead the way and just seem to be in control. Sav doing a very good job of leading the way, and Cypher definitely seems to struggle a little bit. 40% on the battery. Maybe he's had to defend a little bit from Nick, who's maybe been putting him into some pressure in these last few laps, because Sev really is looking in control. 75% on the battery, a little bit of mistake there into turn 16. But yeah, it's very, very interesting to see how Sev is really, you know, under control at this moment in time. But Stefano as well is really applying that pressure to Tom.
Smokey getting very close to the back end of Finn, and it's looking good. Stefano picks up a penalty. That's our 4th of the evening. We've got Rick and Kali, and obviously Kai, and Tom with the penalties, and this could help Smokey with those two with penalties come the end of the race. But Smokey unable to find a way past Finn. He's trying down the Hamilton straight. He was trying to put him off by putting himself in different positions, but Finn being able to be a little bit smarter than that and getting himself through it. Typical, still clinging on to DRS of Bourbon Boy. Bourbon Boy nearly outside of the one from Choco as well, and this is all, well, absolutely crazy at the moment. And I've yet to touch on the subject of this one with Rusty not being here, Ryan. Could he have played a part tonight in costing Smokey and PSR? You know, that top 7 cars of PSR. We're used to Rusty being the one that, well, puts a spanner in the works, really.
Yeah, Rusty really could have, you know, made Smokey's life a bit harder, and he's always been able to do that. You know, Abu Dhabi, he was able to cause some problems for them there, and you know, that's all fair game, and everybody does that to everybody. You know, it's not just Rusty. PSR do it to everybody else as well. So it's not the first time, it won't be the last. Somebody, you know, causes some drama, but Rusty's overall pace as well in qualifying, he would have been up there challenging for pole, and he would have been challenging for this race win as well, and he would have caused some problems for this PSR guys, and this train definitely wouldn't be as dominant as it would, because Rusty would definitely be applying more pressure to Sav and Cypher and Nick if he was up there challenging for this win as well. So yeah, it is quite interesting to see, but it's a shame that Rusty decided not to race here tonight, because it really would have been interesting for the championship as well if he did decide to. But yeah, Smokey really is getting closer to Finn, but he's just not able to get any closer. He's using all of the battery, but Finn knows he's got no deployment left, and he can just save the battery down the straights while Smokey gets agonizingly close, but he really can't do anything about it.
You can see the two different lines that the drivers take. Finn's a little bit more unorthodox, I guess is the best way to describe it, in comparison to Smokey, as they come down through Woodcut and into Cops. It's all nice and easy, and actually I think Smokey lifted a little bit there. That was quite odd to see Smokey maybe feeling a little bit of the pressure at this point. I mean, he's 12th, championships in the battle, in the balance, but saying that, Wilson needs to be a little bit higher up to it, causing too much of a problem for him. There's no major break in the chain apart from the one that you have to watch out for, Shizu, Tom and Wilson. That could be huge for this Grand Prix.
Yeah, 100%. You know, Tom losing the DRS now to Wilson, and having that penalty as well. is going to be costly, and it's a big mistake he's made. But Wilson's did a very good job, by the way, of recouping the battery. He was down to 0% the last time we were on board with him, and now he's up to 45%. So he's done a very good job of just keeping with the front runners, saving his ERS. But as well as that, everybody else around him in the front has done a good job as well. Nick up to 80%, Cypher up to 67%, Stav up to 82%. So he's done a very good job of the battery as well. But you know, Smokey as well, he's just not able to get anywhere near to the back of Finn now. I think he just really needs to save his ERS for a few laps and then try and go on to the attack. Maybe just force some errors, but really just try to save the ERS, because at this moment in time he's got absolutely no chance, unfortunately, of getting past an Alpine.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit at the moment. He gets close in certain areas, but obviously without that ERS to help him, it's cut him off a little bit from the full pace he's got about him. And that is a little bit of a shame, but I'm sure we'll see him battle through. Bourbon Boy get himself back into the battle with Choco. So he's going well as well there. But that break is still tentatively close between Wilson and Tom. That's definitely one to watch out for. Axe picking up a penalty, our 5th of the evening so far. We're on lap 9 of 26. Sav took the lead of this Grand Prix from Sider on the opening, corner of this race. And he has led ever since. We also had a full chaotic first lap, but everything seems to have settled down now. And Jerome and Drosham are probably hoping for a safety car, but I don't think it's going to turn out at this moment, with everyone else battling away in a safe manner.
Yeah, it's been a really good job there from Sav. You know, it was a perfect launch into turn 1, and you know, Cypher could do nothing about it. It's an absolutely electrifying start. Stonks getting a 3-second time penalty as well. That would just be the Aston Martin being a little bit frustrated of how his race has gone. I really want to know what happened on turn 1, because how it all went down from there. And, you know, there's 4 or 5 drivers that really got involved in that incident. Smokey, Kai, Stonks, they all got mixed up and tangled up in that one. So, as well as Jerome and Drosham as well. So it's really interesting to see. I would love to hear from the drivers as well what went down. I think maybe it might be the contact from Nick, which caused a domino effect for everybody else around them to really get caught up in that incident. But again, Smokey was getting really close, but again, he can't do anything about it. Finn is just lining his car up perfectly to get good exits off turn 14, sorry, and really just launch away from Smokey, and there's nothing he can do, because the time by you get to turn 15, he's already at the corner. So, you know, he's really just pushing Finn as hard as he can, but Finn is just not cracking under this pressure at this moment in time.
Yeah, Smokey is doing the best he can, but Finn is, well, I don't think he would, no disrespect, I don't think he's going to get driver of the day as at this point in time. He might still do, you never know, as I think... is that Jerome, or is that Axe? That's Axe making a mistake there through there. But he's definitely in with a shout, is Finn, because he's holding up Smokey, you know, the championship leader, in great respect there. But this time, it looks like Smokey's close. He's got a little bit more ERS to his disposal, but I don't think he's got enough to make a move down the Wellington Straight.
Yeah, it's just every time he gets so close, but then it's just agonizingly, he just doesn't have the ERS to put Finn under pressure. And Finn's not using anything, by the way. He's up to 33%, and he was all the way down to around 10. So he's really just using it smartly on certain exits to really just capitalize on, you know, Smokey's ERS at this moment in time. He's just able to pull away on the exits on most corners. This is really quite interesting to see that Smokey's really not trying to just save this battery and just think of the long game and maybe go for an undercut or something different to really put Finn off, because at the moment it's the same predictable stuff. And Stefano now gets past Tom. Finally, the AlphaTauri has been lining this move up for quite some time, and he now gets past the Williams, who's really been struggling these last few laps, but he's done a good job there, Stefano, up into P5 now.
Yeah, it was coming. Oh, Smokey nearly collects the back end of Finn. That was a big moment. Overbroke himself there, cost himself a bit of time, and that could, well, with his ERS, lack of ERS, that could cost him big time. Axe retiring from the session, he's had enough. But look at that, 0.8 of a second by one mistake from Smokey. The pressure is starting to tell, maybe, on the Mercedes driver. But as we go back up to the top, the move was coming. Shizou Tom was struggling for pace for a little while, and dropping outside of that DRS to Wilson ahead, and it's up to 1.4 seconds. We have that break between the leaders, and that could cost Smokey even more, even though Smokey's not in this battle yet.
Yeah, exactly. And everything which happens around him, Smokey, whatever, anything that happens in front of him really is costly. And now the DRS obviously has, separated from P5. So it's really, frustrating in a way for Smokey. But, the lap one incident, I think he'd be happy to recover so far to P12. But, he'll be wanting to make even more inroads because, he needs the points. He can't afford to lose any more points. With Cypher in P2, it would be huge for the championship if he, wins this race, and that will be a really interesting final round. Of even if Wilson wins this race, we could have a very tasty final round on our hands. But Wilson's got a bit of a task on his hands to get through Nick and Cypher before getting through his teammate, and I wonder, if Sav might let Wilson through because obviously they're teammates, and he might think of the championship here.
You know what? Stefano is got a little bit of pace about him. He's bringing that gap down to these leaders. He's doing a good job. He's bringing Tom with him, and Furious could be, in trouble of losing that DRS because of it. We'll keep a close eye on this one as it happens. Really, pit stops are starting to happen. I think this is maybe a lap or two too early to have decent tyres at the end of the Grand Prix. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I think you definitely want the best tyres. As we always see, usually, having the better tyres towards the end of the race, you can have such an advantage over everybody else. You just have that little bit more grip, a little bit more traction, and you can really utilize it on the exits of some corners. But we saw in challenges at Bahrain, Harvey did a really good undercut on lap 13, while everybody else pitted around lap 17, and he took the provisional lead of the race for quite some time, and then he was able to hang on to the back of Wilson towards the end there. So I wonder if we might see a brave undercut from somebody who really goes quite early and maybe has a really good undercut on everybody else. Well, everybody else stays out a bit longer because you might be able to get away with it around here. And I think maybe somebody was trying to line up a move up front, but unfortunately nothing coming off it. But Bourbon Boy as well, he's struggling a little bit now with Choco. He's doing a good job, by the way, of hanging on to Furious as Alfa Romeo teammate. But now got some pit stops. Finn and Typical both go into the pits, and Typical gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits.
That's problematic for him, massively problematic. What's more problematic is PSR Smokey, with very little ERS, has a little bit of, 1.3 seconds of a gap to get to Bourbon Boy ahead of him to make sure he doesn't lose too much time. And Finn and Typical may have actually gone into the pits at the perfect time in comparison to their battle with Smokey, because at the moment, that's their battle.
Yeah, exactly. And, protecting the undercut from Smokey will be crucial, and being on the better medium tyres now, they'll have a good outlap as well. Both got clean air, nothing to worry about, so that's good for them. But at the same time, Smokey got his work cut out. He hasn't got any ERS to play with, and that's going to really hamper his effects of doing a good overcut here. So I wonder what he'll be able to do. He is closing in on Bourbon Boy now, being in this clean air, so this is good news for him. But he does need the DRS to really close down this gap and have a better chance of doing a good overcut here. But at this moment in time, it's not looking too good for Smokey, but he is closing down that gap to Bourbon Boy. Slowly
but surely, it's close on. But Kai has retired from the session. He's had enough. That's a second retiree of this evening, and it's not gone his way. Unfortunately, started well, but hasn't ended the way he would have wanted at all. Smokey and pit lanes for Stefano and Furious. They've now brought a second gap through this, and Shazoo Tom is in the middle of nowhere. He's got 1.9 to Wilson ahead and 1.5 to Choco behind. He's just got to keep going. We're probably going to see everyone come in maybe like 16, 17. Is that, or are they going to now, with everyone else pitting, they're going to go in this lap?
Yeah, I think 15, 16 is where they're going to go for it. Maybe Sav might stick out till 17, but anything later than that I think it will be a bit unnecessary unless somebody tries to go for softs potentially. Who knows? But I think this will be the lap where everybody decides to pit for the mediums and go to the end. But by the way, Smokey did get into the DRS off Bourbon Boy, so that's going to be huge, and this could really lead him to a very good chance of getting this overcut done on both Finn and Typical, who have been using their ERS quite a lot here, but they haven't really closed in too much on the leaders, the drivers in front of them. Furious is still kept a good gap, but I think Typical will might be able to jump Bourbon Boy here and get in front as well as Finn. So this is quite interesting to say the least. They need to be careful not to battle too hard if they want to jump both Bourbon Boy now and Smokey.
Shizou Tom has dropped. It's 2.6 seconds to Wilson now. Choco's caught back up with him. Shizou Tom, this isn't the Shizou Tom we know. He's just hanging on by to dear life to this position at the moment. No pits for the leaders yet, but there comes Wilson. Wilson's into the pits. He's had to. Choco's gone in as well. So has Smokey. This is what we need to watch out for. Let's go on board. I suppose it's typical. Is going to be the best person to watch as he hurtles through Maggots, Beggars, and Chapel. Down the hanger straight he goes, and he's got Stowe, Vale, and Club all to come before possibly seeing the rest of it. This is one of the longest pit lanes on the calendar, and these guys are, well, I'm sure they are knowing where other cars are, but Shizou Typical has a real good opportunity, as has Finn, we won't forget about him, of jumping Bourbon Boy, and Smokey's in with that, well, behind them, so he's probably going to get fed up of seeing these sort of drivers ahead of him.
Yeah, I think Smokey's done a really good job here. I think he might have been able to he just comes out behind, of both of them. But the Finn jumps Bourbon Boy, so it's a good undercut there from the Alpine and the Williams. And now Furious is going to jump Choco, going to around the outside of YI Choco. That's a great move. And Stefano and Wilson to go side by side here. This is crucial for Wilson now. He needs to stick in front of Stefano, but that's a great undercut from the AlphaTauri. He's going to try and hang out around the outside. Remember, he's got warmed up tyres, whereas Wilson is still on cold tyres. This is going to be a brilliant move down the inside. Oh, what a move that is from the AlphaTauri to get back in front there of the Red Bull, and that is a great strategy call from the AlphaTauri. He is now in front of Wilson.
Great move from Stefano. He's got, like you quite rightly mentioned, got those tyres that have warmed up. Sav, though, 5-second penalty for the race leader. That is schoolboy error written all over it. PSR Nick goes into the pits as well. Shizou Tom, I don't think, has gone in. He's staying outside. They stayed out as well. Stefano, though, how is this going to handle with the pressure with Stefano and possibly Nick? Is Stefano going to get in front of PSR Nick out of all this? We'll have to wait and see how the outlap was. Obviously, battling with Wilson may have cost him a little bit of time. Smokey has got past Bourbon Boy and up into P11 outside the points at the moment. But let's stay on board with Stefano as he rounds these final two corners. I don't think he's going to be close enough.
No, I don't think he is. I think they've done a really good overcut there. Those two battling has cost them dearly. Look how far ahead they've got of Wilson, and Wilson will be absolutely furious about this. All that hard work has come undone. 3 seconds in front now. That is huge for Nick and Sav as well, because now Wilson has no threat whatsoever, and now he's got all the hard work to do to close up 2.7 seconds now to PSR Nick, and that is going to be a tough task for Wilson and Stefano to close down that gap to Nick and Sav.
Yeah, this is, and somehow we could see ourselves in a position of Smokey not getting points but still wins the title. That I'd never even crossed my mind, but it's a possibility. I think, is it 20? Yeah, this is it's, well, Wilson in 6th place. He's going to be able to still battle away with this, but this is a nuts Grand Prix. And Joseph, you were very wrong saying it was going to be a boring race.
Yeah, he definitely was. And just looking now at Finn and Smokey. Smokey, again, is in the exact same situation as he was before. He's got no ERS to attack, and now Wilson's got the move done on Stefano. Easy as you like. And I wonder, with Cypher coming into the pits, maybe, just maybe, that will give him a nice lifeline to get back within this DRS and form up this train once again. But he's got a big task ahead of him now, has Wilson, to close this gap up. 3.1 seconds to Nick. But keep a close eye on this battle for P10, because NRX, Finn and Smokey are really going to go at it once again here. And let's see, Cypher comes out in front, and he's around still 3 seconds in front. So that battle has cost him huge amounts of time there. And now Shizou, Tom and Smokey are going to go side by side. Smokey to the inside line, and oh my goodness me, Tom has gone right off the track there. I'm not sure what has happened. Maybe a bit of contact into turn 4. But maybe that was just a bit of an error there on Tom's side. I did not see any contact from Smokey's perspective, but that's a big point now for Smokey.
Huge point for Smokey. Exactly what he needed, really, but not what Shizou Tom needed. And it's a bad day at the office for him. So it's all changed at the top, apart from, well, Sav is still leading this Grand Prix from PSR Nick instead of Cyber this time around. Cyber is on the fresher compound of tyre, and PSR Wilson on the older tyre as well. There goes Joshim. He's retired from the session. He's had enough. But PSR Wilson getting past Stefano, and it's cost him a little bit there. And this could be a huge moment in the title race.
Yeah, it really could, and it'll be quite interesting to see how this really does all unfold with a final towards the end of this race. You know, we're on lap 18 of 26. We've still got a long way to go, and Wilson's really pushing as hard as he can. He's trying to drop Stefano, but he can't do anything about it at this moment in time. 1.9 seconds is the gap, and I don't see Wilson, unfortunately, closing down that gap. He will get onto this podium, I think, just about here. Get to lead it is 4 seconds, so he's got to make sure he sticks in that 5-second range if he's going to want to maybe get onto this podium. But Sav is pushing, but we could see Nick, you know, cause a bit of an upset here by getting a very good win. But, you know, he's got Cypher behind him who's pushing hard, but unfortunately for him, you know, only having a lap fresher tyres really won't do too much for him come towards the end of this race.
Definitely not. Lap 19 of 26. We've definitely had our fair share of controversial incidents on lap 1, and then it came up again, but we're not sure if there was any contact between the championship leader and Shazoo Tom. Smokey finally getting himself into that point scoring position, which could be absolutely vital come Austria next week. But like we've seen on the last few races, don't tune out early, because the championship has changed. Well, the landscape of the championship has constantly changed hands, and you know what, I can still see something in this race causing some issues.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, what I wonder now is how will Smokey get past Finn, because Finn is just honestly a brick wall at this moment in time. He cannot get around him whatsoever. Will he go for a dive now, though? He was lining it up there, a little bit of a dummy. He's really trying to put Finn under all kinds of pressure into turn 16. I thought he was going to go for that move there, but he thought better off it. But Smokey is trying every trick in the book, but Finn is not falling for any of it. And now it's cost him a lot of time here, Smokey, because he's lost the train now from P8 onwards to P7. So this is huge time lost. And will Smokey go for the move? Again, Smokey's not really willing to take any big risks here, and understandably so. But again, that maybe into turn 4 really could have been a good opportunity there for Smokey to get past Finn.
Cyber has caught back up to the leaders, Sav and Cyther there, 2.5 seconds in front of Wilson, who's got that next train behind him, and he's doing a good job of keeping them behind at the moment. Smokey looking at any possible way to find a dent in NRX Finn's armour. He's doing a great job, is Finn, right now, and I doubt he's going to get driver of the day, but if he keeps this up, I think he's going to get my vote, because it's absolutely incredible. He has been faultless in his defence right now, really, and that is great to see. And it's weird to see. He gets so close to the back end of Finn, but he just can't do anything. He's got no ERS to play with as he comes down the hanger straight. I mean, he's got to surely start thinking about saving some of this ERS for a lap or two and then going on an attack.
I think it's the setup difference. I'm just judging by it now. It seems to me that Smokey's got a better setup for the corners, whereas Finn seems to be a little bit quick on the straights, no matter what, even when he's not using ERS. Obviously, that's different because of the ERS as well, but generally it seems to me that the setup difference is quite obvious. It's definitely, Smokey's setup definitely looks a bit more optimized for the corners, and that's what's really hampering him on the straights. And surely this is his chance to go for the move again. No, he thinks better off it. Turn 4 is such a good opportunity for Smokey to go for that move. That's where his car seems to be quickest, is through that first sector. He gets really close, but again, on this straight, this is where Finn comes alive, and he's going to go now and make a move down the inside on Typical, and that's an easy move. And now Smokey surely has to try and catalyze on this battle.
Yeah, this is where Typical will, play a big part in this. Maybe Smokey will be able to do something down the hanger straight on Typical and get himself up into P9, but we'll have to wait and see how it all pan out between these drivers. Finn 2.6 seconds behind Choco, and that is Smokey can't catch that back up unless there's an incident. So his best bet right now is to finish P8, I think. And I'm not sure if I've lost Ryan. I think I may have lost Ryan in all this. So that is unfortunate to say the least. Typical getting past Finn again up the inside into Stowe. And Finn then, well, this is just costing more and more time to PSR Smokey. And it's not costing, it's costing him big time right now on the time front. PSR Nick still leads his Grand Prix from PSR Sav and Cider, with Wilson 2.8 seconds further down the road, but he's holding Stefano at arm's reach at the moment, and it's going well. The Ferrari of FVR Girone is struggling a little bit through Maggots and Beckett's there. That's going to cost him some time through that, and hopefully I've got Ryan back now.
Yep, the internet just decided to quickly die on me there, unfortunately. But yeah, I've got some news on Nick apparently killed Smokey, who then hit Kai and Stonks, and then Wilson got pushed off by somebody else. So that is what happened on the lap 1. So all because of the on lap 1 caused that domino effect of everybody else getting tangled up there. Unfortunately for Kai and Stonks, it's a real shame for them. But you know, this battle for P8 is absolutely incredible. Really close between everybody involved, and you just don't know how it's all going to unfold here.
So that penalty, if PSR Nick gets a penalty, Cider could still win this Grand Prix, because Sav gets a penalty for driving in the pit lane too fast. Wilson is agonisingly close to being outside of the 5-second penalty to Sav. So Wilson's still got a chance of a podium, and Smokey is going to be, well, hoping for some sort of miracle. He can't find a way past Finn, can't find a way past Typical, and Bourbon Boy's there to pick up any pieces.
Yeah, exactly, and it's really quite interesting to see how it's just all unfolded. Smokey's just not doing anything. Oh my god, that Ferrari's just stuck on the track there. I'm not sure what was going on. I think it's Sharon's AI, and that would have been really off-putting for the drivers, and the coasting system unfortunately was not working whatsoever. But here we go, Smokey again is going to try and make this move on Finn, but Finn is just laughing. I can tell in front of him, knowing that he does not have to worry about Smokey getting anywhere near the back of him, because he's just got the straight line speed, and you can just see the lines he's taking. He's just trying to get any kind of exit which could capitalize on, you know, just making him have any opportunity to make a move. But he just can't get close whatsoever. Into turn 9 now. It's just ridiculous to see how much speed this Alpine in front has on the Mercedes. He just can't get close, and that's, you know, the setup difference is quite clear, and it's just seemingly agonizingly painful here for Smokey.
Yeah, again, he's getting close to the back end of Finn, but gets down this hanger straight, any sort of straight, and Finn is, well, flying high. Look what can Finn do into Stowe. It's nothing on this occasion on Typical. He's got so much great straight line speed as Finn, and it's just costing him just being that little bit further away from Typical as they come into anything. We're on lap 24 of 26 now. 3 laps of this Grand Prix remaining, and it's still anyone's game to who's going to win this Grand Prix. Cider's up there. Sav, obviously with that penalty, will drop down. Wilson's stopped the rot of time dropping from the leaders, so Wilson's got a good chance of jumping a position or two. NRX Furious, though, in his debut in Tier 1, doing a good job at the moment, up into P6, so that's a good one there. And, well, Bobbitt's down in 13th place, close to 2, nothing to it, but here comes NRX Finn. Can he do anything on this lap? Up the inside, into Brooklands, into Luffield. Can he hold on to the position? Typical was desperate to keep it there, but I don't think he's going to have the opportunity. Looking from the back point of view, Smokey might have a good chance here.
Yeah, he's got finally a little bit more ERS than Typical in front of him, so maybe he might be able to utilise that small margin of ERS, you know, which he has over Typical, and maybe, just maybe, he'll be able to make a move. We'll have to wait and see, but this is going to be quite interesting now. He has to get a good exit here, and let's see what he can do off turn 14 now. That's going to be crucial. He has got a good exit, and finally, maybe, just finally, he'll be able to make this move. Typical's going to defend to the inside line. Is Smoker going to go to the inside? He is. Could we see free ride? No, you do not. Typical smartly backs out of that one and just concedes the position to Smokey. Smokey now up into P9, and he'll be very, very happy to get in front of that Williams.
Yep, and this gives him a little bit more of an opportunity to get in front of Finn as well. Perfect opportunity. Penultimate lap, 2 laps remaining. What can Finn do to hold off Smokey? Smokey into P9 now. This is good for him. He's got another point to his name because of it. Smokey's going to have to try something a little bit different to get past this man, NRX Finn, because he's been defending absolutely incredibly so far in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, and it's credit to him as well, because the way he's just been able to park this car, and now Smokey's getting really, really close, and finally he's going to go to the inside, and he gets past Finn, and this is huge for Smokey. He's been trying and trying, and he has finally got the move done, and Finn has finally given up. He did not use any of the battery there, and I wonder why he's done that, because he's been happily defending every single lap. Maybe he just wants to have the ERS on the final lap to get back past, and this could be a really good, smart tactical decision here from Finn.
Or he's going to go for it down the hanger straight, and that is a possibility. We know how fast he is in one straight. Sav getting past Nick, so that's one definitely to watch out for. But let's look at it from a Finn point of view. Can he catch anywhere? He's not using ERS down this straight, so this could be you could be right with what you're saying about holding until the last lap, but I suppose we have to go on board with PSR Nick and Sav and Sider, because they're battling away. Well, full throttle at the moment. Bobberts and Tootie going hammer and tong as well. I think Tootie holding out for the time being. It looks like Nick's struggling a little bit on the pace side of things on this final lap, and Sider there waiting for anything he can pick up on.
Yeah, exactly, and Cypher's just looking to capitalise on any kind of mistake, but he's got no battery, unfortunately, for him to really defend with. But, I think Finn might have made the wrong decision of letting Smokey go, because, now he's in clean air, he can really just pull away, and I thought so, and it has come into fruition. It's been a bad mistake there from Finn to let Smokey go, even though he has the straight line speed. He's not going to get back past that Mercedes, I can tell you that for now, because there's no chance, unfortunately, for Finn now to really get back in front. Shazoo, Tom and Shazoo Rick are battling out for P14, and there's a good battle between those two, not giving up on a good battle. But here we go, on to the final few corners now. We've got a battle for the lead, and will Nick be able to win this race on track? He's got a good bit of battery. He is closing, and he is closing in quick on Sav, but I think he's just going to run out of straight, and that is unfortunate for Nick. He just did not use enough of this battery there, and Sav's been able to hold on, and he's going to hold on to this race victory on track.
Yeah, it's a good one for Sav, and what a Grand Prix for him. He did everything he needed. The only blemish is the too fast in the pit lane. Nick will win it on track. Sider in second. Where does Wilson come? He finishes in front of his teammate. Out of all that, Stefano will come home in P5, and look, that must be incredibly close. Let's have a look at Smokey. He's well in front of Finn. Bourbon Boy getting past Typical as well, and Tootie holding out in front, and that is this Grand Prix done and dusted. But look how close Stefano was. Oh, actually, Stefano dropped down because of a penalty. The NRX Furious up into 5th place. Wow, this is a great debut for him.
Yeah, it's a great debut from him, and it was an unbelievable performance. He kept his calm and composure all the way throughout, and he's done a really, really good job there to get P5. And it might be, I think for me, that's driver of the day. On your debut to get P5 in Tier 1 was a very, very good job there from Furious. So it's a great effort, up 7 positions from the start. So it's a great effort there from the Alfa Romeo.
We're just waiting for PSR Stonks to finish his lap time. He's gone on to a set of softs to try and get the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. 28.5 for him to beat. Everyone dropping out the session now. But let's see what PSR Stonks can do across the line. And I didn't tell if it was the fastest lap because it just didn't give me enough time there. Ryan, I'll give you a little bit of time to take in how that Grand Prix went, because it was an absolute nuts one. Choco getting the driver of the day for the game. I think we're all going to be split on that one, because I think maybe Finn, but well, we'll wait and see. But great race for Nick. We'll wait and see. A great race from lap 2, I guess, for Nick. Sider in second place. Third place and rounding out the podium was Wilson. Sav there, agonisingly close for another victory, but ending up in 4th. Furious in 5th. 6th place to Stefano. Choco in 7th. 8th to Smokey, getting some points in the end. That's what he really needed. Finn in 9th and Bourbon Boy in 10th, rounding out the point scoring positions. Then we had Tootie, Typical, Bobberts, Rick, Tom and Stonks, with non-finishes for Jerome, Josham, Kai and Axe F1. Wow, that was one hell of a race we had on our hands there, wasn't it? It was something, I don't know how to describe it, to be honest, Ryan.
Yeah, it was just it was a strange race in a way because we had the drama on the opening lap, and then it was a little bit chaotic throughout. But then there was just that long stalemate of nothing really happening. But it wasn't the worst race, but it wasn't the best race we've seen this season. But it had its drama, and Smokey did a very good job to come back from 20th all the way up to 8th. He did another last two challenge, and he came 8th once again. So yeah, it was a great drive there from Smokey to get some big points, and Cypher as well possibly could be winning this race, and that could be huge for this championship coming into the final round next week.
Definitely could be. Let's cast your minds back to what the standings were before this race, and well, we're looking at it as things. Well, before it was 28 points between Smokey and Wilson. Cyther there with 124. It's nuts. It could be what if Nick gets a penalty? It could be second place for Wilson, and that is 10 points between him and Smokey. All of a sudden, it's a little bit more problematic for Smokey if that were to happen.
Yeah, I really do find it quite interesting what will happen, for Smokey. So it'll be huge for this championship how it'll all unfold with the stewards. How they will decide how it'll all unfold. Nick, I think he's going to get in a bit of trouble. I think he's going to get a big penalty. Causing 3 or 4 drivers damage and starting from the back. So yeah, I think Nick will be in a little bit of trouble with the stewards, and I think maybe Wilson might even get second place in all of this.
No, I'm waiting. I don't think we're going to get anyone for interviews. So it's all if buts and maybes of how this championship is going to look to next week at Austria. But Austria is a track where we've had controversy in, when was it? Season 12, I think, when I'm trying to think who it was. Shadow, Alfie, and someone else going into turn 4. Was it yourself? Was it yourself? I can't remember.
I think I might have been there. I think it was Austria.
Yeah.
I think I probably was involved in it somehow. I think I was there. I think I was just behind them all, and I got perfect viewing of everything unfolding. So yeah, I think we'll see some kind of drama like that. Hopefully, Austria always, delivers a good race. So hopefully we can see some more drama there.
I guess what's the best way to sum up this British Grand Prix run?
I'd just say interesting. It was quite it was like a game of chess in a way, and unfortunately Smokey, played his cards at the right time as well, made the right move at the right time, and that got him a big point. That could be a really significant P8 for him in this championship fight. So yeah, whether this will all happen and how this championship will unfold at Austria next week, we'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, we will wait and see. And obviously, standings as things are, this is going to be absolutely mental to see how Austria will be. Wilson, I know, will have to do what he has to do to win the race. And I mean, it's still one hand on the trophy for Smokey, definitely at this point in time. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me on this one. Thank you for so much for everyone who have watched it. Really hope you have enjoyed it. It's been an absolute hell of a Grand Prix here at Britain. Join us for the finale at Austria next week, where the champion will be crowned.